A no spin challenge can start off exciting. So you can feel determined, motivated, and maybe even a little unstoppable because you've set your rules, you've made your plan, and you're ready to watch your savings grow. But at some point along the way, and it can be within the first few days, the first few weeks, it hits the boredom phase. So you're not riding that high of starting something new, but you're not quite at the finish line yet. So with all of this going on, you have no choice but to really sit in your nothingness. So there's nothing new, no small treats, no fun, impulsive things that you're doing on the weekend. It's just nothing. And honestly, after a while, it can start to feel a little dull. But here's the thing, this phase isn't just normal, it's actually important because if you're actually able to push through it, you can come out on the other side with a whole new mindset about money. And if you don't, there's the risk of giving up too soon or binge spending just because you want to have a little excitement. So if you've ever gotten to this point, or maybe you're in it at the moment, this is why it happens, and here's how you can handle it. And one of the reasons why it happens is because spending was filling more of your time than you realize. Most people don't shop just for the sake of buying something. A lot of times they do it just so they can have something to do. So spending money, it really becomes a form of entertainment, like a distraction or just something that we do to kill time. And when you take all of that away, that means that there's just a gap there. And at first, that gap can feel kind of boring. And, we can kind of liken this to if you decide to take a social media break. So if you decide to take a few days from TikTok or Instagram, you put your phone away. And at first, the first couple of days, you might be okay. But what tends to happen is that after some time passes, you might start reaching for your phone. It becomes like an automatic habit because it's something that you're so used to doing. You don't need your phone, but now that you're consciously trying not to reach for it as much, you might start to realize just how much it was filling your extra time throughout the day. The same can apply when you're in a habit of spending money. So the only way to really deal with this is that you have to find other activities to replace it. So look for other ways to fill your time. But while you're doing this, it is so key that you choose activities that you actually like. Because if you enjoy it, you're not going to have any issues doing it. You can pick up an old hobby, you can read a book, you can jump into a project. Because if you don't, it's really only a matter of time before boredom pushes you back into your old spending habits. You might also struggle with boredom because the thrill of treating yourself is now gone. There is a reason why people say it's the little things in life that matter. Because the truth is, sometimes grabbing a snack, grabbing a coffee, or doing something else small for yourself, it just feels good. And without them, some of our days can start to feel very repetitive. But at the same time, if spending is one of the only things that you have to add excitement to your life, that is a red flag. And instead of just giving into the boredom phase and reverting back to your old spending ways, you really owe it to yourself to find other things that bring you joy. And sometimes it can really be just as simple as switching up your routine or maybe finding things that bring you happiness that don't cost any money. Realize too that the urge to spend isn't always about wanting things. And along with that, after a while, you might even find yourself wanting to shop just because you want to feel something. So it's not about needing anything or even wanting anything for that matter, but instead it's that little rush of dopamine that you're chasing. And this is where a no spend challenge can really start to get real because you can start to recognize the difference between needs, wants, and just wanting to feel better. So again, you really have to get honest with yourself and do a lot of self-evaluation and fully understand what you're feeling, number one, why you're feeling this way, and why you honestly think spending is going to be the solution. And for some, it's all about the dopamine hit. But the reality is, it doesn't last long. If you're fortunate, you might get a solid hour or maybe 24 hours. But after that, after the rush dies, you're right back where you started from. So if you don't learn how to get a handle on other things, the cycle is just going to continue. So what are you actually looking for? Because if you're bored and stressed, you might be looking for a quick win. Because if you constantly have to spend in order to feel good, the problem was never about the money. And keep in mind too that it's often during the boredom phase where the biggest mindset shift happens. And the sad reality is that a lot of people never get past the boredom phase. So when they're doing a no spend challenge, they might do good for several days, several weeks, or maybe even a month if they're doing a longer challenge. But sometimes it's just too strong and they give in. And when they give in, they either quit altogether or they start justifying things. And they might say, well, it's just one small thing. But of course, as we know, one small thing can completely turn into five small things. And before you know it, a whole month has gone by and you haven't really saved any money. But again, if you can push through it, that's when everything starts to change. Because on the other side of boredom is something better, which is contentment. And that's when you finally start to realize that you don't always need new things to feel good. And you also start to realize that what you already have might be enough. And once you get to this point, you're not just doing a no spend challenge. You have officially rewired how your brain thinks about money altogether, which is what leads to long term change. The bottom line is that the boredom phase is not a sign that something is wrong. It's actually a sign that something is working. Because once you're in this phase and you're able to get past it, you're finally able to see your past spending for what it really was. And if you're able to make it through it, it's not just the end of the challenge, because you're going to come out of this with a stronger money mindset, better financial habits, and a new level of control over your money.